in here, you got some faults, you got some stuff that you yeah, you done cheated. You know you ran the light, but you went to court and said not guilty. No content. I don't know which one I am. I just be no content. But see, you got to understand. See, everybody want to look at the lady. Now, in the crowd, they want to look at the lady, but Jesus, everybody say Jesus. But when Jesus showed up, Jesus didn't say nothing. You understand what I'm saying? See, sometimes I learn as I get older. I've learned as I get wiser. Just don't say nothing. Sometimes it be right here. Yeah, y'all don't hear me. I know some of y'all been like that. It be right here. You really wanna. You know what I'm saying? You really wanna. You really wanna. But as you mature, as you get older, as you get more God-like. I don't have a witness in here. See, you ought to grow. You ought to grow in Christianity. You understand what I'm saying? You don't stay a baby all your life. You ought to grow in Christianity. Even a child that's born got to grow up. And Christians ought to grow up. And know when to open and close your mouth. And sometimes when you're talking, it ought to be open. Jesus showed up on the scene. The word says that he wrote down on the ground. Sometimes y'all just have your piece of paper. Just write it down before you speak it. Because sometimes, you might need to go back and read before you speak, because you might speak something that's going to bring harm to yourself and to other people. Can I get a witness in here? So what I'm trying to tell us today is that what we need to learn is, see, when you got something in your hand, see, everybody, it's easy to go outside, pick up you some rocks from your glass house. You understand what I'm saying? But now, nobody wants their sins to be uncovered. Can I help you? See, everybody thinks sin is some major thing. Now, I need you to know that if you cannot obey what the Bible said, can I get a witness in here? You're already sinning. Because the Bible says that God is love. And we should love one another. And we ought to love one another enough not to talk about. I don't have a witness in the place. And see, we ought to love one another to be more God-like and godly, because there's some folks that's working in a godly place that's really not godly people. I'm going to say it again. There's some folks that's working in a godly place that's really not godly people. But see, what you got to understand is that God got his eyes on you. Yes, and you got to realize that, yes, he will reward those that diligently seek him. And see, one thing about it, I know for myself that if you're really seeking the Lord, your attitude will be the first thing to change. Tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, the only way that your attitude will be different. Yes, you got to first seek the Lord thy God. And I just want to know, I want you to touch street people around you. Say, people, get on board right now, because there's something about you that, yes, that needs to change. And I want you to know, yes, you're looking sanctimony while you're in the sanctuary. But yes, the life that you live outside of the walls. I heard my grandmother say, the life that you live will speak for you. And I wonder right now, is it anybody working on your home going? Because I found out that can't nobody preach your funeral, because if you ain't lived nothing, they ain't got nothing to talk about. Can I get a witness? Because somebody in the room acting like that they don't want to drop their rocks. Grab your neighbor's hand, shake them like you're trying to wake them up. Say, neighbor, go ahead on and drop your rocks, because neighbor, you got some things that's going on in your life that ain't got nothing to do with your wife, that ain't got nothing to do with your husband, that ain't got nothing to do with your children, that ain't got nothing to do with your brothers or your sisters, because that thing that's holding you is deep down on the inside. And one thing I know, I had to let some things go before the Lord really started raising me up, because the devil already knows what to put in your way to make you stay right there where you can't move. But I'm glad. Is it anybody glad right now? Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that I was able to shake the devil off of me. I was able to praise the Lord enough that the devil had to move around. He couldn't stay in my territory, because one thing I know, I had some rocks one day, and I had to drop my own rocks. And the only way that you can get to the blessing what the Lord wants you to have, the only way that you can get to the lifestyle that the Lord wants you to have, you got to drop your rocks. Acknowledge to the Lord, Lord, I have sinned and come short. Yes, I have. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Look what the Lord does. The Lord let mercy show up on one side. He let grace show up on the other side. He let mercy show up on one side. He let grace show up on the other side. And there you are, standing in the middle. Tell somebody, I am the man in the middle. I am standing between mercy and grace. Say, neighbor, that's the reason I'm still alive. You ought to tell somebody that I am a living testimony. Could have been dead, sleeping in my grave, but mercy and grace have kept me all of these years. Anybody here, are you glad? Anybody here, are you glad that you got mercy and grace? Are you glad that Jesus, do you know him? Do you know him? Mary, little old baby, my rock in a weary land, my bridge over troubled water, my shelter in a time of a storm. Do you know him? Do you know him? Do you know him? Do you know him? Do you know him?